It's a fan design that was a winner of an Orimeda contest starting as a dream and becoming a reality. It is ZBD00 Dead Dog, with the kit of Confusion, Double Sacrifice, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Shape Memory, which equalizes HP across all parts when charging Metaforce, and that includes restoring broken ones upon activation. Now, as an Orimeda design, Dead Dog is one of 3 models that was designed by a fan that was chosen to be made into an officially canon model to the series and joining the world of Medarot through Medarot S. And despite its rather strange and derpy appearance, I do have to go on a tangent for just a moment and say of all the 3 Orimeda designs of this batch of its set of 3, I honestly have to say Dead Dog is probably my favorite of the 3 for its very cute yet very spooky and derpy design. Confusion on its head is an ailment-based skill that, upon attacking the target, will inflict them with confused status. Now, what this means is that as long as this status remains, the enemy ailed with it will be unable to choose their own actions for 3 turns or unless attacked. In addition, that also means that the ailed enemy is also incapable of choosing their target willingly. That means that it runs the risk of attacking an enemy ally instead, or if it's a support or healing skill, gives the chance for it to give that skill or buff to the enemy side, which can make it very, very handy and deadly depending on how you feel with luck if luck is on your side once it's applied to the target. Sacrifice on both arms, and in a really strange turn of events, Dead Dog actually is packing both versions of Sacrifice, melee and shooting. But to explain both attacks briefly, it will attack at the target with everything it has into one single attack, converting up to 50% of the arm's remaining HP into bonus damage. Upon completing the turn and finishing the attack, the part will self-destruct and be rendered unusable until it can be brought back via an action like Restore or First Aid. Now, of course, that does come with a caveat that requires it to have a high HP count. So if Dead Dog takes damage before using his turn and an arm has reduced HP, it will not be dealing as much damage as intended. Plus, even though Shape Memory does mean that he can go back and replay both arms a second or even third time, it does also mean that every time Shape Memory is used to bring back his arms, they will be attacking notably weaker every time unless he has a healer on the team to keep his HP up. Biped Legs also means that Dead Dog will have a very good coverage across all terrains in terms of terrain compatibility, but its leg stats, compared to most other models we've been spoiled with, is kind of par for the course and kind of in that mid-range, where he's not terrible, but also in that decent range. A mobility of 756 isn't bad, kind of that mid-tier where Biped Legs tend to want to sit at. An evade of 849 isn't too shabby either, again, kind of a decent number there. But a shoot and melee resist at 639 even is kind of a pain point for him. Now, granted, as a zombie dog type or an undead model, it is kind of to be expected that a model like him would have rather paper defenses, and I guess that is kind of to be expected and something I shouldn't be surprised at, but it still does hurt his overall performance across the board. Because, given that a lot of his damage from his arms relies on him keeping a high HP count, having low defenses means it's going to be really tricky for him to do that. And on topic of his HP, again, he's not bad, but he is still relatively light on it though, as expected of a undead zombie dog type, with a head and arm HP at about 3,000, just barely cusping it, and the legs at 3,400. So again, a decent HP pool, but for a sacrifice user like him, you definitely want to push that HP as high as you can possibly get it to keep them alive longer and deal extra damage. So that being said, it is also encouraged that you do pack those arms with some HP chips to at least push an extra 1,000 into both those arms for bonus damage and supporting. That all being said, as a mixed parts score, I still do have to rate Dead Dog a pretty solid 7 out of 10. Despite being rather light on the armor and the damage reduction, his kit actually synergizes moderately well with itself. Now, Confusion is kind of that odd one out, but as an ailment, it can still be put to very good use if used correctly. And Sacrifice with Shape Memory means that, much akin to another model who does this, and Beetle, it does mean that upon using up both arms, he essentially can replay it for a second round at an encore by charging Metaforce and bringing his arms back. Now, one thing that sets Dead Dog apart, though, is the fact that not only are both his arms heavy, but they also, on top of that, are a melee and a shooting version, which means you are going to have to kind of decide how you're going to use him in terms of his metal spreading if you are going to make use of Dead Dog. As mixed parts across the board, though, for these very same reasons, I do have to match him at, again, a 7 out of 10. Even though his kit by itself synergizes with itself moderately well, Sacrifice can be put to very good use if you are able to capitalize on it moderately well, and the base power between 13 and 1400 is pretty good too. I would recommend, though, again, packing that HP as high as you can go with some HP chips, or even making use of some Metarotters that will also boost HP of arms even higher, so that when you do decide to go in and use that Sacrifice, it can deal as much damage as feasibly possible, with as many modifiers boosting that damage as high as you can get it.